Hello everyone, we're going to be doing the Tau Ethereal today. I painted it in the Vior'la Sept. It's also going to be riding on the hover drone. Just shading the model here, just to try to get those contrast values up. This is my first time painting the Tau skin, but I think this is probably pretty close for colors. I'm adding ivory to the white here to try to bring the highlights up. That's something I don't do very well on most of the models I do, is to get that closer to black and closer to white on the spectrum of colors. Tucked away underneath is the Tau leg. That's kind of getting covered up later, but we still fill it in. Just a few odds and ends here that going to be painting black. Here's a place where I wish I'd painted before I affixed it to the hover drone. It's kind of hard to reach inside here. This is being shaded in Agrax Earth Shade by Citadel. If I had to do it again, I'd probably put a different color in there just for a little change in tone. Something else I need to work on is thinning out my paints. I think this could have been... several coats were put on here, but I think I could have done better in layers. Another location where I could have done better with a little bit thinner. I was just trying to do some touches on the brightest highlights with the Wild Rider Red. Starting in painting the Tau armor now, with kind of the base coat of the Administratum Gray. With all these armor sections, I wish I'd done some better planning and probably wouldn't need so many layers going over everything. Here's just catching a few of the highlights on the hair, just getting some of that raised detail on a drier brush. Just doing some panel lining. I did better this time by not drenching the entire model. To restate, I wish I'd planned this a little bit better and hadn't done so many layers and just picked out which pieces should be what color ahead of time. Now that I'm using dead white, this is kind of my top end, brightest highlight of white. I'm picking and choosing, kind of hitting the top end from where the light source would be. This clip here is just featuring me picking out some of the other parts that need a base coat of black for the contrast, and also a lot of poor camera work. Here I'm doing the center emblem on the Tau Ethereal on the front, but you can also see where I should probably have some better transitions from where I used Wild Rider Red previously. Around a little too hard in the shade, and now sopping it up with the dryer brush. Just painting the belt and a few other places. Box art shows that orange color just right along the outside, so I'm careful to only get the pentagon here in the middle. Here comes the other part of the model where I really wish I had not assembled almost the entire thing before I started painting. This was kind of tricky work to get it onto here, where it would have been a lot easier to just do it separately. Here on the outside of the hover drone and the other rest of the drones that I do have in my Tau army are where I really differentiate from the Vior'la theme with the much darker gray. Here I'm painting the sash and the honor blade in just a minute. I kept these pieces separate from painting and didn't glue them until later, until I could reach into certain spaces. Much like the previous armor bits, I probably could have planned a lot of this and done a lot less layers of gray and white. I ended up drowning this in the shade again, but there's a lot more of the fine lines in here which do well for getting the shade into those recesses. This dorsal fin thing, I waited and attached and painted that afterwards. I'm just a beginner, so again I'm drowning in shade, even though I know I'm not supposed to. I sop up the excess. White's tough to paint in, so I make up for it by putting on really thick coats. Don't do that. Using that gray to give a highlight to the Vallejo German gray from before. Here the hover drone appears to be floating on top of this flag for some reason, and also showcases on just how poor the army painter deep blue is. It seemed like a good idea at the time. I figured I would paint the flag handle kind of a different color and maybe change it over time with the shading. I made the blue tone kind of over all of these pieces down here, including the skull. I figured that would make sense at some time, but I ended up going over that later. Painting the hand that I'll be attaching later. Same process as before, working from the blue and up to a brighter highlights with the ivory added in the end. Doing some touch up with some matte black on places I went over on with the grays and white. more touch-up and cleaning of the white and gray. Doing an edge highlight with the dead white. Another difference of how I do my Vior'la Sept, I like to have a little more color on the model, so I'm doing the Evil Sun Scarlets as some of these panels on the honor blade. Starting to finish up the model, so we're going to put a little base coat of black on the bottom. Now we're doing some of the finishing touches, putting some of this weapon bronze on the whatever this guy's holding in his hand, and all the other circles of the Tau symbol. As per usual, we'll use the Agrax Earth shade as a more browner shade to put in on the metal bits. Not seen in this clip, but I put a little glue on the bottom of this honor blade, and then it really messed up my paint job on the hover drone. Using the Vallejo Brown Earth here, the rest of my Tau Kill Team army has the same base, so I'm going to be continuing using that. Doing a highlight of the greedy gold on the weapon bronze for the different metal bits. Not shown in the video, but while the brown earth was still wet, I dropped on some of this Army Painter snow terrain stuff. I think it comes out a little bit better instead of kind of the little piles of snow that sometimes can happen with just a spot of glue. And there it is, my ethereal hover drone. I hope you liked it.